Hello, my dear students. Hope you all are doing well, taking proper care of yourself by staying indoors. The topic which we are going to discuss today is the channels of distribution. We've already discussed how the salespersons are being recruited, how they are selected, how they are motivated to actually sell the products. Now we will see how the product is actually placed into the market so that end consumers can buy it. So we are discussing here the channels related to the distribution. We all know the 4 P's of marketing, that is product, price, promotion, and placement. So distribution is actually related to the placement of the product for the end users. The manufacturers who actually produce the product, it is not necessary that they may directly contact with the customers, because it actually depends upon the type of product they are manufacturing, the type of market in which they are supposed to sell the product, type of customers they are dealing with, and according to all these things they have to choose the channel of distribution depending upon their requirements. So we will see actually what are the various channels of distribution and what are the various conditions under which the manufacturers choose different channel of distributions for their product. So what is actually a channel of distribution? Channel of distribution is basically all those intermediaries who are actually involved in producing the product or placing the product from manufacturer to the end use customers. So all processes, all partners which move a product from producer to the consumers are known as channel of distribution. In other words, we can say that how the customer is going to obtain the product or the service he requires forms the channel of distribution. So distribution is basically the end use placement of a product for the customers. All the independent organizations which are involved in placing the product from the manufacturer to the end use customers forms a part of channel of distribution. It can be in the form of agent, it can be wholesaler, it can be retailer, it can be any of them, or it can be all of them. So channel of distribution actually depends upon the product of the manufacturer which he wants to place into the market. So channel of distributions is known by the various names. It can be known as marketing channel, it can be known as channel of distribution, distribution system, channel, place, marketing intermediaries. All these words more or less means the same, that is channels of distribution. Now these channels of distribution may be direct channel, it can be indirect channel. Now what is the difference between direct channel and indirect channel? Direct channel is when the manufacturer decides that he don't want the services of any of the intermediaries and he wants his product to be placed directly to the customer. This happens in case when the product is very costly or the manufacturer is a well-known name who don't want any intermediary, who want direct contact with the customer, who want directly to place the product to the customer. Now, manufacturer can do this by taking the orders online. It can also open a direct company outlet through which customers can directly purchase the product, or it can also take the orders through mail. So we can see the example of Dell here. Dell basically takes all the orders online and directly supply the product to the customers. Although nowadays in India we can purchase the products of Dell through online modes also, through retailers also. But then if we talk about abroad, Dell is taking the online orders and placing the product directly to the customer. And if we talk about indirect channel means that lot of intermediaries are involved in actually placing the product directly to the customer. We can take the example of Pepsi. You have never purchased a Pepsi directly from the Pepsi company. You always purchase it through the retailers. So normally the grocery items, the items which are of daily use, we normally buy them from the retailers. So this is the difference between direct channel and indirect channel. So again, it depends upon the company that how they are going to place their product in the market. Normally, luxury items are directly produced by the customer, directly produced for the customer by the manufacturers without taking the help of any of the intermediaries. If we talk about luxury cars like Mercedes, you have never heard that it is being sold online or direct through retailers or wholesalers. Company want to actually make a direct contact with that luxury class customers and wants to offer the product directly to the customers. And if we talk about the products which we use in our daily life, like soaps, shampoos, etc., they are normally being produced or normally being placed through the indirect channel of distribution. So in direct channel, we have already discussed the example of Dell. Indirect channel, we have already discussed the example of Pepsi. So when the producer, manufacturer and the consumers are in direct touch, that becomes a direct channel. When lot of intermediaries comes in between, it becomes an indirect channel. So direct distribution, I think we have already discussed that it can be through company owned stores. You must have heard about the company outlets. Then we have Salesforce, then we have internet. IBM normally use Salesforce to sell its product directly to the customers. Dell use internet, that is taking online orders. And we have many companies which are using their direct outlets for the customer. So here the product goes directly from producer to the customer. Now, indirect channel of distribution, retailer comes in between producer and customer. Rather, any other channel which comes between producer and customer, it becomes indirect channel of distribution. It can be retailer, it can be wholesaler, it can be agent, it can be a broker. We'll discuss all these one by one. But indirect means when the producer is not directly in touch with the customer. He is taking help of, or rather he is taking services of intermediaries for placing of its product directly for the customer. Now this applies to services as well. You must have heard about the insurance services. Nowadays many banks are rather offering insurance services for their customers. Like we can take the example of Apollo Munich. They are selling their health insurance through Axis Bank. They are having tie-up with Axis Bank. We can take the example of Max Life Insurance. They are selling their life insurance policies through Axis Bank. So insurance companies, they are taking help from the banking sector, that is from the intermediaries, for selling their products to the ultimate customers. So it is not only about the placement of product, it also includes the placement of services as well. So how the services are actually being placed in the market, or how the services are actually being used by the end users, also tell us that whether it is being sold through direct channel or through indirect channel. Now this we have already discussed. This is just a representation in the form of diagram. The direct channel is producer directly through producer to the end user, that is consumer of the product. Then we have various channels. In retail, we can see producer, then retailer, then consumer. Then we have wholesale channel, in which wholesaler is also there. Producer, wholesaler, retailer, and then consumer. And then we have producer, agents or brokers. Then we have wholesalers, then we have retailers, and then finally the consumer. So again, it depends upon the type of product which the company is manufacturing. In case it is an industrial product, or in case it is a very high value product, normally the channel would be direct. But in case it is related to daily use products, normally the channel would be indirect channel. It can be any of these. It can be with the help of retailer directly. It can be with the help of wholesaler, then retailer. It can be with the help of broker, then wholesaler, then retailer, and then the final consumer. Now, there are various strengths and weaknesses which are related with both the channels. In case of direct channel, if we see, what would be the advantage? The advantage is that the manufacturer or the producer is in direct contact or direct touch with the end use customer. He will be getting direct feedback from the customers. He will be able to know how the product is actually being sold in the market, how the market is responding to the product, how the customers are feeling about the product. Do they need any change? Do they need any other thing along with the product so that they can be happy customers? So all this information related to market research would be there directly with the producer. Normally high value products that are being sold through this channel, The producer would be in a position to have a direct contact with the high class customers, and as per their choice, the product can more or less customize also. Now the weakness is that it would be smaller coverage would be there in this case of channel. The producer will not be able to capture the whole market with the help of direct channel. Then cost would definitely be high. Then he himself has to generate leads for selling his products. Since he is not taking help of any of the market intermediary, he himself has to generate leads, he himself has to convert leads, he himself has to provide after sale services, himself has to do a lot of things, which is possible in case the market is small, in case the target customers are very less. But then if the target customers are very large, in case the market to be covered is very large, direct channel would not be possible to cover all these things. Then comes the indirect channel strength and weaknesses. Obviously, the weaknesses of direct channel becomes the strength of indirect channel, and the strength of direct channel would become the weakness of indirect channel. So in case of indirect channel, you would be having larger coverage, new target segments can easily be reached, then fixed cost would be less, and then you will be getting proper feedback of the market from the intermediaries. Now, what would be the weakness? Weakness is less focused on your product. See, the intermediaries which are involved, they are having the main aim of earning profit. If they are getting more profit or more margin from your product, they'll focus more on your product. But then if they are getting more margins from the product of your competitor, then surely they will have more focus on the competitor product. So their main aim is to earn profit. If it is not coming from your product, they will surely move to the product of your competitor. So that actually becomes a weakness of the indirect channel. That company will be not in a position to get the direct feedback of the customer. Moreover, they will not be in a position to get the direct feedback of market research and all related data, because they have actually they would actually be dependent on the intermediaries. Now, what is the role of distribution channels? How important they are for any organization? See, distribution channel plays a very crucial role when the product to be sold is targeted for the general public as a whole. When the product is not meant for a few category of customers, but it is meant for general public as a whole, then role of distribution channel becomes very, very important, because they are actually the persons who will be catering to the general public. So what they will do, they will gather the information about the potential and the current customers. They will actually create demand for the product. They will actually showcase your product better than all other products in the market. They will actually provide you with the customer needs, with the customer feedbacks, and as per their feedback, you can actually make any changes required in your products timely, so that your product will not become obsolete, your product will not become a your product will not become out from the market. So they actually take risk because they actually buys your product. If we talk about wholesaler and retailers, they actually buys your product. So they are keeping the inventory of your product and they are actually taking the risk related with the inventory. If we talk about broker or agents, they don't share the ownership. They actually work on behalf of you. They just take your product and sell it further to the wholesaler or to the retailers. But if we talk about the wholesalers and retailers, they actually purchase your product. So they are bearing the risk related to the obsoleteness of your product or the expiry of your product. So they actually fund the financial inventories at different level. They also take the risk related with the stock. They actually are involved in the process of transfer of ownership from one organization or one person to another. So they actually create demand for your product. They will give proper placement to the product so that customer can see it and buy it. So distribution channel no doubt has a very, very important role. Now the various functions which are being performed by the distribution channel. First one is information. They actually gather the information related to the market, related to the customer, related to the environment, and provide that information to the producer so that proper action can be taken if required. They will do the promotion for the product. They will actually place your product in such a manner in their retail outlets that customer will see it and they will deliberately create demand for your product. They will communicate with the customer related to the various features of your product and demand will automatically be created. Now, contact, they are actually the persons who are in direct contact with the customers. So they are actually knowing how the customers are reacting to your product. Do they need any change? Do they need any after sale service? Do they need anything extra which will help them in their purchasing? So all these information is being collected by the distribution channels and is being shared with the producers. Then matching. Obviously, they are matching the product with the demand of the customer. Then negotiation, various price negotiation, various offers negotiation. Again, that is being done by the distribution channels with the customers. Now, physical, they are actually involved in the physical transfer of goods from the producer to the end use customers. Then financing, they are actually financing, that means their finance is also involved while distributing the product to the end use customer. And no doubt they are taking the risk by keeping the inventory of the product, which may become obsolete, which may become out of demand. But since they have purchased those, they are taking the ownership of those inventory, the risk will always be there. The risk is always associated with them. So these functions we have already discussed. Now, this is how actually the product is being placed in the market. Manufacturer, who is actually involved in the manufacturing of product, then he hands over the product to the distributor. Distributor finally gives it to the retailer. Distributor again can be wholesaler, he can be broker or agent also. It goes to the retailer and then finally it goes to the end use customer. So manufacturer is not in a position to directly contact with the end use customer because of the size of the market, because of the large base of the customers. So he can primarily focus on the production and need not to be involved in the tension of placing the product in the market. By sharing his margin, he can be settled with the production function only, and the distribution function can be handed over to the various intermediaries. Now, market intermediaries, they are nothing but they are other name for the channel of distribution. They are also known as middlemen. They are actually the individuals or the business concerns which are actually involved in doing the various marketing functions on behalf of the producer. Then again, they are doing the marketing function. Wholesaler and retailers, they are also involved in the marketing functions for the producer. They actually promote the product on behalf of the producer. So market intermediaries are again channel of distribution only. Now it can be in any form. It can be agents and brokers. It can be wholesaler. It can be retailer. Agents and brokers, they actually do not take the title of the goods they offer. That means they do not actually invest in the inventory of the product. They do not actually purchase the product. They just take the inventory from the wholesaler, inventory from the producer, and they further pass it to the wholesaler or to the retailer. So they are actually the representatives of the manufacturer or the producer, and they do not take the ownership of the product or the title of the product. Then comes the wholesaler, who actually buys in bunches and sells in bunches. That means they take the large stock from the producer in order to get the bulk discount and then further pass it to the retailers to be sold to the ultimate customers. So wholesalers are actually the persons who purchase the product for further selling it to retailers. They are neither the end users nor they sell to the end users of the product. They just purchase it and then further pass it to the retailers. Now retailers, they are actually the organization or the individuals or the group of individuals who actually sells product directly to the customer. They are the persons who are in direct touch with the consumer. They are the persons who are actually taking the feedback of the customers. They are the persons who are actually doing the market research. They are the persons who are actually involved in final disposal of the product. Now, these are the various terms which are being used for channels of distribution. We have already discussed agent, wholesaler, and retailer. Apart from this, we must have heard the word middleman. Middleman is nothing but any of the channel of the distribution who comes between producer and the end user. So any intermediary between manufacturer and end user is middleman. Then distributor are actually the person who performs a lot of marketing function on behalf of the manufacturer. They perform distribution function also. They perform credit function also. They perform maintaining inventories also. So a lot of functions are being performed by the distributors. They are again a kind of channel of distribution. They are again a kind of middleman related with the process of distribution. Now, intermediaries, they perform mainly three kind of functions: transactional function, then they do logistical function, then they do felicitating function. Transactional function, transaction is taking place. That is, transaction is what? Buying and selling. So they are involved in the transactional functions. That means they are actually buying the product from the manufacturer, then they are selling the product to the end use customers. Again, they are taking risk. How they are taking risk? Because they are taking the inventory, large inventory from the producer, which may become obsolete, which may become out of fashion, and in this way they are taking a large risk on the part of manufacturer. Now, logistical function, obviously they are doing by storing the product, by transporting the product, by sorting the product, by sorting the product. So all these functions are being performed by the intermediaries, so they are performing logistical function also. Then facilitating function, how they're performing facilitating function, they are actually the one who are involved in doing the market research, gathering of data, analysis of data, and then finally submitting the summary of their analysis to the producer, so that in case any action is required to be taken related to market research, that can be taken well on time, and so that competition can be beaten off in the market. Now, need of marketing intermediaries. Actually the need of marketing intermediaries is there or not? That actually depends upon the type of product the producer is manufacturing, the type of market they are capturing, the type of customers to whom they are targeting. So all this is going to decide that whether the need of marketing intermediaries is there or not. So they are actually needed for the smooth flow of product and product information from manufacturer to the consumer if the market is very large. Producer will not be in a position to capture the market throughout the country, rather throughout the world, if his product is targeted for the whole public, then in that case it will not be possible to do the whole selling himself. He needs to take the help of marketing intermediaries in any case. Then they actually distribute the product and consumers are in a position to actually capture the product. Nowadays, online shopping is there. You must have heard about Amazon, Flipkart. If any product is placed there, the consumers throughout the world can easily purchase that product from these online sites. And on the contrary, the producer himself will never be in a position to sell the product throughout the world by direct selling. It will not be possible for him due to the large market, due to the type of customers he want to capture. So unnecessary delays can be avoided if the producer is taking the help of marketing intermediaries. With this picture, we can clearly understand the importance of the marketing channels or the channels of distribution. Assume there are 4 producers and there are 4 end-use customers. If the if the producers are not taking help of any of the marketing intermediary, then producers and consumers will have to enter into 16 transactions if they are interacting with each other. 4 producers, 4 consumers interacting each other, then there would be 16 transactions in case no marketing channel is being involved, in case no intermediary is there. On the contrary, if they are taking the help of a middleman, that is an intermediary, then those transactions would be reduced to the 8 transactions. So that is the importance of channels of distribution. Number of transactions would be reduced, cost would be reduced, fixed cost would be reduced rather. So channels of distribution plays an important role. Now we will discuss about retailing and wholesaling, the two terms which we have studied. Retailing is actually selling the product by the producer directly to the retailers without taking the help of any agent, without taking the help of any of the wholesaler. So, definition by Kotler, retailing includes all the activities involved in selling goods or services to the final consumers for personal non-business use. Retailers are actually selling the product to the end use customers. End use customers are not going to resell those products which they have purchased from the retailers. So normally all grocery items are being sold through retailers only. So there are various interpretations related to the retailing. It is actually involved in matching the final consumer demand with the supplies of different markets. It is actually the end step, or you can say it as a final step in distribution of stock for consumption by the end customers. Indian retail is dotted by traditionally marketplace called bazaars or huts. You must have heard in India that earlier it was a big bazaar, not a big bazaar. Earlier, many bazaars used to be there, like Sunday bazaar, Monday bazaar. Such kind of bazaars are being organized by retailers for selling the product to the end use customers. And nowadays, a lot of online sites are there through which customer can directly purchase the product from retailers without being getting in touch with the producer. And producer also can target the whole market, the whole world rather than country through retail chains. Now, characteristics of retailing: direct interaction with customer is there. When direct interaction with customer is there, direct feedback from customer can also be taken, and that feedback can directly be passed on to the manufacturer or the producer, and accordingly, in case any changes are required, that can be done as per the demand of the customers. Then point of purchase and display and promotion, all these things are done by the retailer. Retailer actually places your product in his shop or in his outlet in such a manner that it becomes the focus of attention of the customers, and willingly a demand is created and customers would be in a position to actually purchase those products. Now, what is the importance of retailing? Retailing is not only important for the customers, it is also important for the wholesalers and producers. Wholesalers and producers, how is it important for them? Advertisement of new products can be done by the retailers. You must have seen the various pamphlets pasted on the shops of various retailers through which customers came to know about the new products, came to know about the various offers which are going on in the products, and accordingly they can make up their mind to purchase this product. So they actually advertise for the new product or advertise for the various offers which are going on in the products. Arrangement to sell the goods. Yes, they make various arrangements with the consumers for selling the products. Since they are getting the feedback from the customer, they are aware of the customer habits, customer taste, customer need, and accordingly they can pass on this information to the producer, and producer can make any changes, or they can customize their product as per the requirement of the customers. Then no doubt they are sharing the risk along with the wholesalers and producers, since they are buying the inventory of the product. And when the inventory is being bought, the risk of obsolescence, the risk of getting outdated is always associated with the inventory, and that risk is being borne by the retailer. Then what are the various services they are being providing to the consumers? Various services which are being provided to the consumers from retailers are selection. They are being provided the option to select from among a variety of product. Variety of goods are being kept by the producer, and the customer has the option to choose any of the product out of them. Then demand creation, that we have already discussed. Then when a product is placed in such a manner that it becomes a center of attraction in the retail outlet, then consumers will surely want to try that product. So demand creation is again a function of retailing. Then distribution and credit facility that they actually provide to the consumers. So retailing actually becomes a link between the producer and the end user. They are helpful to the producer by passing the customer feedback to the producers, and they are helping to the consumers by telling them the importance of the product and by creating the demand of the product so that customers can easily buy that product. Now the functions of retailing, they are holding the stock, they are providing additional services like credit facility to the customers for buying the product. They are a very important channel of communication between manufacturer and the customer. Then transport facility, advertising function that is being done by the retailers. So retailers are of utmost importance from channels of distribution because they are in direct touch with the customer. So the end users or the customers, whatever is their demand, whatever is their feedback, that is actually being passed to the wholesalers or to the brokers or to the manufacturers from retailers only. So they forms a very important channel of distribution. Now, store and non-store retailing, that you all knows that store retailing means the various outlets of the company or the big outlets which are there. And non-store retailing means online, getting the orders online. It can be through direct mail, it can be through catalog, it can be through telephone, telephonic order, internet shopping, TV shopping, home and office parties, and door-to-door sales. So it is basically retailing is being done through non-store. That is, customer need not to visit the store even. They can put the orders online, and the product would be delivered at their home only. And there are various channels of putting the orders also. It can be through mail, it can be through internet, it can be through TV shopping, it can be through door-to-door sales also. So this is the difference between store and non-store retailing. Now these are the various type of retail outlets you must have seen. Chain of stores, franchises, specialty store, departmental stores, supermarkets, hypermarkets, shopping malls, specialty store, factory outlet, convenience stores. So these are the various retail outlets through which the customer can actually purchase the product they are looking for. Now this is the wheel of retailing, that every product has to move into 4 stages. This I think we have already discussed. The product comes into entry phase when the product price is low, margins are low. Then the product moves into growth phase where the prices of the product increases because demand of the product increases, margins also increases. Then maturity phase, in this phase even the price is more high, margins are even more high, and then comes the decline phase because some new product might have been launched by the competitor who is in entry phase. So all these phases actually forms the wheel of retailing. Then comes the wholesaling. Wholesaling we have already discussed that wholesaling is buying in bunches and selling in bunches. That is, they actually want to take the benefit of bulk discounts from the producer. They produce the quantity in large amount and then sell it to various retailers across the country to get the benefit of margins. So we can have the definition of Philip Kotler, who says that wholesaling consists of sale and all activities in selling goods or services to those who buy for resale or business use. So wholesaler sellers are not actually selling the product to the end users. They are actually selling the product for reselling again by the retailers. Then again the definition is there from American Marketing Association, which says wholesalers sell to retailer or other merchants and or industrial, institutional and commercial users, but do not sell in significant to ultimate consumers. They are not selling, they are in no ways related with the end users. They are actually selling the product for further selling it to the end use customers. Now the various functions of wholesalers, they are selling and promoting the product. They are buying assortment, that means they are keeping the stock of the product. Then bulk breaking, warehousing, transportation, financing, risk bearing, market information, management, service, and advice. So these are the various functions of wholesalers, that they actually purchase a large stock of the product from the manufacturers. Then they sell those products in bunches to the various retailers. They're also providing the warehousing facility to the producers. They are providing transport facility for the retailers. They're also providing financing facilities for the retailers. That means they can give, if the retailer want, then they can also give credit facility to the retailers. No doubt they are also gathering the market information. Market research data is there with them, which they can further share with the producers, and accordingly, in case any changes are required, that can be done by the manufacturer. Now wholesalers can be of three kinds. They can be merchant wholesalers, they can be agents and brokers, they can be manufacturers, sale branches and offices. Now merchant wholesalers can be further divided into full service wholesalers or limited service wholesalers. Full service wholesalers are the wholesalers who provide a full set of services to the manufacturers. Full set of services includes that they may provide transportation also, they may provide warehousing also. So all these depends upon the type of services which are being required by the producer or by the reseller also, retailer also. Limited service wholesalers who provide only few services and specialized functions. That means they are only involved in the purchasing of product from the producer and selling it to the retailer. They are not keeping the stock in the warehouses. They are not providing the transport facility. They are not providing the credit facility. Now, wholesalers can be brokers and agents, which we have also already discussed, that they do not take title of the product. They just perform few functions, few specialized function on behalf of the producer. They are just the representatives of the producer. Then comes the manufacturer, sale branches and offices. Is a form of wholesaling by sellers or buyers themselves rather than through independent wholesalers. Now, what is the importance of wholesaling? That we have already discussed, that they actually become an important link, since they are purchasing the product from the producer in very large quantity. They are keeping the stock of the product under their ownership. That means title of product has already been transferred from the manufacturer to the wholesaler. So they are taking risk on behalf of the manufacturer. They are providing credit facilities to the retailers. They are providing transport facilities to the retailers. So they actually are the persons who are of utmost importance in the distribution channel. So they are also doing the value addition to the distribution process. How? They are actually promoting the product on behalf of the producer. They are also collecting market research data and they are sharing that data with the producer. So they are actually the persons who are taking risk also, who are providing inventory services also, who are providing transport services also to the retailers as well as to the manufacturer of the product. So they are of utmost importance. Now you can see the services which the wholesalers are providing to the manufacturers, to the retailers and to the consumers also. To the manufacturers, how they are providing the services, they are gathering the market intelligence data, they are sharing the data with the manufacturer of the product. Then they are providing warehousing facilities to them, they are providing marketing help also. They are actually acting as a link between the manufacturer and the retailer. Now, what services they are providing to the retailers? They are keeping stocks on behalf of retailers. They are doing promotion also. They passes discount or the margins which they get from the producer to the retailers. They are providing marketing information also. Then they are providing credit facility also. Now, are they involved in direct providing services to the consumers? Yes, in case of some industry goods, the product are directly transferred from manufacturer to wholesaler and then finally to the consumer. So they are actually providing the product as per the taste of the customer. They always keep ready stock. Whenever the purchaser wants to buy the product, they can directly contact with the wholesaler and then get the product. And no doubt they are sharing the new product benefits, new product offers with the end use customers. Now, factors determining choice of channel of distribution. What are the various factors depending upon which the company decides which channel of distribution they are looking for? So it can be product related features, nature of product. What is the nature of product? Is it an industrial product or is it a consumer product? If it is an industrial product like CT scan machines, then short channels would be preferred. Why short channels would be preferred? Because in that case, some technical expertise is required for the intermediary to provide it to the customer. They are mostly expensive products and they require some technical guidance to be sold to the customer. So in those cases, the channel of distribution would be short. But if we talk about the consumer goods like LCD, refrigerators, grocery items, in all that case, since they are non-technical, non-expensive, the channel of distribution would be long. Then again comes the perishable and non-perishable products. Perishable products cannot be kept for a long time. Like if we talk about vegetables and fruits, cannot be kept for a long time. So they are normally distributed through short channels. Whereas perishable products, like soaps, oil, sugar, salt, etc., they require longer channels. Now, value of product, if the product is very costly, then short channel would be there, like diamond jewelry. But if we talk about low price products like grocery items, then long channels would be preferred. Now, product complexity, if it is related to some engineering product which is very technical, which requires some technical expertise to discuss the features of the product or the uses of the product, then surely the channel of distribution would be small. But in case the product is general use product, simple product, then no technical knowledge is required, and then channel of distribution would be, it can be large also. Then comes the company characteristics. If the company is financially very strong, if we talk about Apple, they normally sell their products directly through their outlets. The company has a huge financial strength, huge funds at their disposal. They go for direct distribution. They can open their direct company outlets. They don't want to share their margins. They don't need the services of any of the intermediaries. Then control. If they want greater control over the market, greater control over the feedback of the customer, then surely they will go for the smaller channels of distribution. Then competitive market, policies and channels are also selected by the competitors. For example, if Samsung has opted for Big Bazaar, no doubt that their competitors like Sony and LG, they'll also go for the Big Bazaar. So competitive factors also decide the also helps in the choosing of channels of distribution. Then market factors, if the size of market is very large, it will not be possible for the manufacturer to cater to the demands of the various consumers. In that case, they have to take the help of the channels of distribution. But in case the size of market is very small, like in case of industrial product, then the producer can directly provide the same to the customers. Then geographical concentration, if it is not possible for the producer to capture the whole market throughout the geography, he will surely take help of the channel of distributions. Then quantity purchased, in case of large orders, direct channel may be used. In case of small orders, indirect channel has to be used. Then various environmental factors like economic conditions and legal regulations that also helps in deciding of the channel of distribution by the manufacturers. Now we will see one video related to the channel of distribution.
What are distribution channels? Distribution channels are the means by which businesses get products to their consumers. Distribution involves links in a chain of distribution as products are sold between different businesses en route to the final consumer. There are three main types of distribution channel. 1. Direct to the consumer. 2. To the consumer via retailers. 3. To the consumer via wholesalers and retailers. Let me say a little about each of these. Firstly, direct. Niche products with relatively low volume sales are often sold direct. Direct sales could be made online, through mail order, or through shops owned by the manufacturer. Businesses selling direct do not rely on shops or other intermediaries to sell their product. Well-known examples of businesses that sell direct to the consumer are Direct Line, Insurance, and Dell Computers. Distribution via retailers. Large retailers often purchase goods from manufacturers and sell on to consumers. This method of distribution is sometimes called modern distribution. Products reach consumers via one intermediary. Large retailers have enough buying power to negotiate bulk discount prices with producers. The producer benefits by being able to concentrate primarily on making the product without needing complicated distribution systems to supply thousands or millions of customers. Producers just distribute to a much smaller number of retailers. Distribution via wholesalers and retailers. This type of distribution channel involves at least two intermediaries, wholesalers and retailers. This is sometimes called traditional distribution. Wholesalers are businesses that purchase in considerable bulk from producers and then sell smaller batches to many different retail businesses. For instance, independently owned convenience grocery stores and pet shops usually buy their stock from wholesalers. Using wholesalers is an effective way for manufacturers to get products stocked in small retail businesses without having the transport costs involved in making small deliveries to each of them. What factors will influence which method of distribution is chosen? Decisions are influenced by the cost of distribution, the nature of the market, and the extent to which the producer wishes to control how products are marketed. As already mentioned, an advantage to producers of using wholesalers and larger retailers is that far fewer deliveries need to be made than would be needed if the delivery were straight to the consumer. This reduces the cost of distribution. On the other hand, each intermediary involved in the chain of distribution seeks to make a profit. The purchase price that retailers and wholesalers pay is inevitably less than the price that producers might charge if they were selling direct to the consumer. If customers are prepared to come to a factory shop or some other outlet controlled by the producer, then direct selling might look attractive. A classic example of this is the pick-your-own-fruit farm. High-volume mass-market products have to be sold often to a very large number of customers. There's no such thing as a local toothpaste manufacturer, for instance. The market for this sort of goods is national or possibly international. For that reason, it usually makes sense to distribute mass-market products through retailers. On the other hand, if a market has a smaller number of customers, direct distribution becomes more feasible. Producers of industrial goods like aeroplanes or industrial robots may seriously consider direct distribution because they have a small number of customers. Getting these products to the consumer is in some ways far less complex than delivering consumer goods to millions of people. Whenever a producer uses an intermediary to sell its products, it's handing a degree of control over promotion and price to the intermediary. This may be to the advantage of the producer. Being stocked in an established national retail chain can mean that the product is well promoted. On the other hand, the way that an intermediary, like a retailer, markets a product may not suit the producer. For some producers, only direct distribution provides them with the control over marketing that they seek. So, to sum up, distribution channels are the means by which businesses get products to their consumers. There are three main types of distribution channel: direct, via retailers, via wholesalers and retailers. Decisions made about how a product is distributed are influenced by the cost of distribution, the nature of the market, and the extent to which the producer wishes to control marketing.
So we have seen the video related to the channels of distribution, which says that again it depends upon the market, the type of customers, depending upon which the producer actually choose the channel of distributions. So in this you need to submit an assignment, which would be what are the various channels of distribution that needs to be submitted by you to me. So that is all for today lecture. We will meet in the next lecture with another topic. Thank you.